I would like to request Professor Dr. Neeraj Bala Badwal, who is also a coordinator and resource person of the 5 days of regional program, to coordinate the rest of the program. Yes, ma'am. I would like to request you to take the floor and handle the rest of the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sri sir. So, a very good morning to all of you. Engineer Mahesh Bhattarai ji, Member Council, CTVET, Professor Dr. S.K. Dhameja, Director General for CPSC, Mr. and Dr. Pramod Shrestha ji, and Mr. Nalaram Devkoda ji. Delegates, our keynote speakers for today, as well as the participants from all our member countries, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to all of you to today's international conference on Academia Institute Industry Collaboration for Innovation in TVET Education, which is a part of 5-day regional program held in collaboration with CPSC and CTVET on academia industry linkages in TVET. So Dr. Dhameja has already explained the schedule for today, where we will be having a keynote speech followed by some keynote, very eminent keynote speakers, where they will be discussing on various aspects of industry institute linkages. Followed by, we have these paper presentations by respective country representatives, our participants from the different member countries. So they will be keeping their views on the various aspects related to this industry institute collaboration in respect to the linkages. So starting with the first session, I would, before I request Professor Dr. Pramod Shrestha ji, a brief profile about sir, I request the technical coordinator to kindly provide the presentation for our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Pramod Shrestha ji.
TVT, Dhameja ji, and then at least the organizers, both CPSC and CTVT. For me, it's always a pleasure, because being a teacher, I like to be with learners. Some are teachers, and when I was there with him for the last 2 days, there's a lot of critical mass in the participant. So it's not just I am teaching. In this process, I'm also learning a lot, whether it's from Bhutan or whether it's from Philippines, Malaysia, Pakistan. It's a two-way process. Okay, so it cannot be a one-way process. Remember, I said when I talked about the evolution of our education system, be it skills development, engineering education and training, medicine, law, it started with teaching, where the teacher was the main focus. Remember, I should ask that question again. The 4 ING. Do you remember, my delegates? Yeah, okay. It started with teaching, where the teacher was the central part. Then it shifted to learning, where the learners was the focus. So it shifted so it's teaching plus learning. So the focus was whether the students are learning. So it was not enough that the learners were learning. Okay? What was the next? They know it. So I'll ask this audience, what was the next? It ends with ing. Okay. Haji? Yes, that also is in that teaching and learning. Okay? So this is where we talk about linkage between industry and institution. So the third ing is earning. So you have to earn, isn't it? But because at the end of the day, that is important. You're not producing graduates for unemployment, whether self-employment or employment. So the third ing, and they're all linked. They're not, you can't look that in isolation. They're not mutually exclusive, as we say in statistics. So the third is earning. Okay? You have to earn. Doesn't matter. If you go to Australia, you might earn $20 per hour. If you're in Nepal, the lowest, I would say, in our part of the world, in South Asia, the lowest. Even Bhutan pays much higher than what we are paid. Even India pays much higher than what we are paid. So now the fourth one is difficult. I think so. Fourth one is more philosophical. Can anyone guess what is the fourth ing after earning? Because I was supposed to close at 10:30. The slide is there, it's for your consumption. I don't want to look at the slide and talk with you, see. I just like to look at a face and then learn from you also. So what is the fourth ing? Any guess? I give you a hint, it's more philosophical. Haji? Yes. Okay. But then again, all these are important. I'm not saying that it's not important, but from my sort of, I don't think you can Google this, so I don't know whether I'm correct or not. So the fourth one is living. You have to live a happy life, okay? And my thesis is that you can't be a good engineer or a good instructor or a good lawyer unless and until you're a good human being. Then only the living comes into focus. Money is important. I can tell you stories that I can take you back 70 years back. Just one story. 70 years back, I think during the Depression, it was 1918, 1919. The world, 10 richest person in the world, they gathered together in New York. I haven't told that story to the participant because I like to tell story. So they met in New York. I think this you can Google, I suppose. And this was 1918. Was it before Depression or after Depression? And they started to talk about what they're doing. Most of them were into industry that were manufacturing clothing. Some were traders. Out of 10 richest person in the world, around 6 or 7 was from the United States. One was from UK, I think. I don't remember the nationality. So they said, okay, this is what I'm doing. My net worth is XXX. It's not in trillion, it was in billion. Now it's in trillion. Then they decided in that meeting that we're going to meet again after 10 years. Okay? Now my question, these are the richest person in the world. Any guess what happened? Now in that meeting, after 10 years, there were just 4 people who attended the meeting. Do you know what happened with the rest? No, what happened to the rest? What happened to the 6? 3 committed suicide. 1 became mentally unstable. You see, so the question is, you have to have a happy, you can't define happy. I'm happy wearing a suit, or you're happy wearing this jacket, red, blue, whatever it is. So the bottom line is, you have to be happy. There should be a happy living. And the thesis is, whatever you do should not hamper the work of others. That's the thesis. Okay? So you can go on philosophically about living. Okay, now I think, otherwise my organizer would be very angry that here you are talking about academia, industry linkages, and you're talking about philosophy. Okay, let's now move. So I'll start with one invocation, that's a prayer, like Gayatri Mantra. We do that, or we do that, or we don't do that in our Hindu culture. There's also an invocation, like it's a mantra. Mantra is an English word now. Okay. So that invocation is called the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer. Serene. Okay. This, you can Google that, the Serenity Prayer. And this prayer also is used by Alcohol Anonymous. Have you heard about that institution? Where drug addict, alcohol addict are treated or rehabilitated. Okay? It's called Alcohol Anonymous. And the invocation goes like this. God, give me the serenity, the courage to accept things that I cannot change. Courage to accept the things that I cannot change. Whether it's in TVET, whether it's in education, the courage to accept the things that I cannot change. Or any relationship. And the second stanza is accept the things that I cannot change, acceptance, and the courage to do things that I can change. Okay? One is acceptance that I cannot change this. Because you're not living, you're working as a team in a relationship. So the courage to accept the things that I cannot change. Okay? The acceptance in the first one, then the courage to do things that I can change. The last one is important. And the wisdom to know the difference. And the wisdom to know the difference. One is acceptance that this thing I cannot change. Okay? Second is the courage to do things I can change from your level. And the last one is the wisdom to know the difference between those two. Powerful statement. That's the Serenity Prayer. The second one is the inscription written in the Berlin Wall. You know Berlin Wall? Do you remember the date when it was dismantled or demolished? 1980? Okay. These are dates you may not remember. So, later 80s. What is written there in the inscription? Very powerful. We all feel that alone we cannot change the world. We cannot change Nepal. Okay? We cannot change TVET. We cannot change blah blah blah. Shankarapur Polytechnic, the principal is here. So we all feel that I cannot change, I'm alone. Okay? I'm not affiliated to any party. Okay? It's written there, it's not my quote. It's there written, inscribed at the Berlin Wall. That we all feel that we cannot change this world. We become very pessimist. But alone also you can change the facts, the way you work. By changing the facts, you change the point of view, how you think. Is it possible? It is possible. By changing the point of view, you change the world. The world is at a very macro level. But you can use that sort of example at the micro level also, at your own level. Change the facts, change the point of view. Doesn't matter. You are doing something, she will look at it, and yes, then the point of view would be different. By that, you would change the relationship. By that, you would change the small community. By that, you would change blah, 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 blah. Then at the end of the day, you would change the world. So it is the point of view, okay, with what lens you see the world. Okay, with that invocation, the serenity prayer, and that with that inscription inscribed in the Berlin Wall. It's a very powerful metaphor. The falling of that war, you go back to Second World War, why that war was created, okay? So let me go ahead with okay, I've got about 20 minutes. I'm not going to read all this, what is written there, it's quite boring. So what I will do is, I'll just give you some example. It is in the context of any relationship. Like I told my participant in the last 2 days that at the end of the day, it is the relationship that counts. And in this equation of industry-institute partnership, it is a relationship of trust or mistrust, okay? So first we will look at how the world have changed. In the last, we can talk for the last 100 years, but I will be more recent, okay? And then there is a concept of 6D. It's not my concept. You will see who have come up with that concept. Then I'll talk about some reform initiative in our sector or in our partnership. Then the last, we talked about the boiling frog syndrome. There's a script of the boiling frog syndrome. I'll talk about that at the end. Okay, with your permission, let's see. The world of change, it's all given there. But what is important is that this is happening. I don't know how much you know about Hyperloop transportation. I guess, my prediction, I hope I am wrong or I hope I'm right. There is a project by Tesla using this Hyperloop transportation with an average where they try to connect 200 kilometer or 200 plus kilometer within 20 minutes. So here the project is going on from Calgary to Edmonton, where I did my doctorate. Now that is around 300 plus kilometer, 300 plus. So there is a loop that they are planning to connect these two cities less than 40 minutes. Their target is to connect cities in a distance of about 200 to 300 kilometers, like say from New York to Washington. These are cities. In our case, maybe Kathmandu to Bhairava, Kathmandu to, these are cities because growth are happening in the city. Connecting that by transportation, by Hyperloop transportation, within 25 to 30 minutes. Imagine that you go to Pokhara, you're connected. It's around what, 200 kilometer, 220 kilometer, I know? Within 20 minutes. Isn't that a fantasy? Now, this Calgary-Edmonton project, they have completed around, now I think they've completed, it's Tesla, completed around 40% testing. So hopefully in the next 5 years, they would come up with that technology, test that technology, and then use that. It'll be a game changer in transportation. Have you heard about Hyperloop? And there's an Indian scientist working in Hyperloop projects. So that is Hyperloop, will be a reality after 10 years. That is for sure. Okay? So yes, all these stuff that you see, what you call Uber, Facebook, Netflix, all that, they were not there 25, 30 years back. And when you see, they don't have, Uber doesn't have any taxi, they don't own anything. You know, people are not owning anything. No cameras, no studio, nothing. Okay? So the whole concept of inventory and ownership is finished. Isn't that a big, big change? And with this, you're all familiar. A Society One, you may not be familiar. Alibaba, everything is Google. You all know about this. An interesting thing is, more than this, when you look at it here, agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, digital now here. Now we are trying to be here now. We all talk about AI. Okay. Now what is interesting? This is interesting, I think, when we talk about industry-institute relationship. Adoption of new technology. Time to reach 150 million user. Google Earth took how long? 2 years to reach 150 million user. Internet 4 years. Phone 89 years. So it's an exponential. Now you will have more thing here that will be less than 1 year to reach that 150 million user. Isn't that amazing? Now you see, now we talk about Tesla, BYD. Now you've heard about BYD. This is recent. BYD is recent. Their cell of electrical vehicle combined, their cell of electrical vehicle is more than the cell of Tesla, Mercedes, and BMW worldwide. Now this firm did not exist 25 years back. This firm, BYD, Build Your Dream in China, they were making EV batteries. It started as a battery company. Now they are the global leader in electrical vehicle, selling more cars, EV cars, than Mercedes, BMW, and Tesla. That also within the last 7, 8 years. Now, if you look at it, we live with this horrible invention of internal combustion engine that has been with us for the last 150 years. The efficiency, maximum efficiency of the internal combustion engine is not more than 30%. But look at the efficiency of the electrical motors, 85 plus. Look at the moving parts you have in an IC engine and an electrical vehicle. So here you've got the innovation cycle, interesting, you would see now. But the interesting thing is, change from one cycle to the another year, the number of years are shrinking. This is at the macro level, okay? Now this is the one that I'm going to take you, the journey. So this is a guy called Diamantis, Peter Diamantis. He has come up with the 6D that you would see. I don't like to explain you about digitization. We are living in the world of digitization. Disruption, we may come up a little bit. Disruption, we know mobile is a good example that we have the mobile, also the smart mobile, okay? Demonetization, I'll explain that a little bit. Dematerialization, I will explain that a little bit with diagram, and then democratization, because democratization is happening everywhere. Now if you look at it, digitized we know, we get all our, because when I come nowadays, I hadn't imagined what you call InDrive or Patao, you see. So deception is that initially the growth is deceptive, but after digitization, you would see the impact is exponential. So it's deceptive. In the beginning, it is, I think it will not disturb. And if you look at it, disruptive, you see, everything is a disruption. Now this has replaced our camera, so it has disrupted camera, no? This will disrupt computer also later on. Dematerialize, now you can see All that you have, that you take as material wood, it's a paperless world, isn't it? You pay nowadays, you pay by QR code, yes? It's happening. And India, per capita, use of QR code is the highest in the world. Even a shop selling pan, am I correct? Are using QR code. Even someone selling a vegetable worth, let's say, 20 rupees, they were asking whether you have QR code or not. Am I correct? So they don't have to carry. So this is happening, and it's happening very fast. Paperless, money. You don't carry money. They say, I don't have any money. Okay? And democratization is happening everywhere, not in the factory, it's happening in the school. It's happening, the most traumatic, it's happening in the family. Isn't it? When I was brought up, I would follow whatever my father would do. Now, you follow whatever your children would say, or your grandchildren. If they say dance, you will dance. Okay? So that is, in another way, democratization. Okay. Okay, so again, these are all, okay, this is one chart I would like to see. Play around with this chart, skill demand and skill supply, you see. We are the supplier, we supply products, but then we don't look at it whether there is a demand. So that's how you have, what you call, you would like to be in the equilibrium of high skill equilibrium. I don't know, Nepal could be at this level, okay. I think our respected member secretary could highlight. In some country you would have skill deficits, but definitely we would like to have, we don't want to go into this low skill trap also. So this is one eye-opener that you think would be useful. Again, it's a balance, I would say, in this sector, it's a balance between change and continuity. It's a balance between supply and demand, quality and quantity. It's always a balance, okay? Some will say, produce. The market would take care, or they would go out of the country, okay? So in life, you have to play around with this balance, okay? So it's, at the end of the day, it is balance. There are some foundation, but I would think these are four are important. There are others, but number one is where the developed country have really done well. The legal and regulatory body. They are solid. Yesterday also we talked about factory inspector. We talked about the experience at Gold Star. Okay, laws are there, but it's not been implemented, but various reasons. So effective stakeholder dialogue is not there. They have the dialogue in the Western world, and governments are supporting private industry also, because at the end of the day, it is growth in that sector, whether it's private or public. Okay. So there are 9 major components. These are all generic, you would see. But here I would like to, I had in number 2, national qualification framework. It's converging that every country have got their national vocational qualification framework tied up with the national qualification framework. Generally, it's up to level 8, where I think Sri Lanka is applying. I think in Pakistan also, level 8. Nepal is also level 8. So that is happening, and that's taking care of the vertical and the horizontal mobility of. And then the other interesting or important element is the recognition of prior learning, RPL, which people are doing it in all the developing countries and established in the developed world. So 9 components, these are all generic human resource. So now I'm got the egg, and here is again this you'll see. And I said in Nepal I presented this in an international conference organized by the Swiss government and the university, Kathmandu University, where I take master's classes. They have a master's program in TVET, a master's program. So I challenge them that you are also responsible to put us in that boiling frog syndrome. Now the boiling frog syndrome is simple. You got a water, let's say the temperature is a little bit warm than the temperature outside. So you put the frog in that warm water, somewhat warm. The frog will immediately jump out of that pot. Yes? This natural instinct. Because there is this change, okay? So that change the frog cannot, the temperature different. Another pot, maybe room temperature or slightly lower than that. And the trick is slightly heat that. Increase the temperature slow and steady. At the end of the day, the frog would die. Okay? Why? Why? In one case, the frog will jump out. In the other case, it'll just die. And my question is, are we in our sector, are we in this boiling frog syndrome, where we are being massaged, we have been given now in this sector about 100 million US dollar in the last 5 years. We've all everything. We've been massaged with cars, with foreign trip, I don't know. So all the goodies are there. But then at the end of the day, is it killing us? So that we'll just be on the deathbed. And my answer to that is partially yes. Like we say, we don't have that jolt, you see. In the first case, it was not so, it's like staying in a sauna, getting all that pleasure. It's quite hot in the sauna. But in this second case, the temperature rises very, very, very slow. So the frog didn't even feel. At the end of the day, he would die there. I don't know whether you would like to do that experiment back home. Okay, but then that's the story. That's called boiling frog syndrome, and Google it, you will see. We reached that. The question is, personally, I think we are in that stage of this boiling frog syndrome, where if you continue our sort of point of view, we will die. And the country will die. Country will suffer. Okay? So I may be correct, I may not be correct, though, because I'm involved in the Institute of Engineering for the last 50 years, but I started my career as an apprenticeship at Hapathali campus in 1971. You were not born. So the thing is, my observation may not be correct, but this is my observation, okay? Prove me wrong. I would be very happy if you can prove me wrong. Okay? I would be the happiest person if you can prove me wrong. Okay, with that, you see how you see yourself. Here is a cat seeing yourself as a lion, and then it doesn't matter whether you're small in height or big in height, or you're fat or rich or poor. What is your way of thinking? That's important. Okay? We might be rich in many things. We are rich in many things. In culture, we would be the best in the world. We can claim that. We can. Okay? But here in the world, we talk about GNP. That's the worst indicator that people have invented. Worst. You cannot. Bhutan came up with this happiness index, but there are problems for every country. So how do you see yourself? That is important. So that's all. I am right in time, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share. I don't think we have time for question and answer, but then if there is any question or if there is any observation or challenges, or you can challenge my viewpoint, I'll give you my email, so it'll be my pleasure at least to counter that or accept that. Thank you very much.
And
Yes.
that too related with the TVET sector. So as you said that you prove your point of view wrong, but I also
I wish my yes was no.
so I also partially agree that the TVET sector as you has put your opinion with the boiling frog, one day we might be in that stage. But my concern is, being you the expert in the TVET, how can we come out from that, I mean, situation?
How can we recover from?
That, I mean, from the, like
Okay.
one day
Okay,
the frog
if I-
is going to be dead.
Okay,
So-
okay. You see, I'm new or I'm old in this sector. I started in 1971 from Tapatili campus. My entry after graduation was Tapatili campus. That was 72, 73. My appointment was there, then moved to Pulchok, then established a new campus at Pokhara, Trade. How? I don't have an answer. It's if I have if I had the answer, I would have been a Nobel Prize. There could be a Nobel Prize in education. But I have some direction or reform. Okay. One is number one. Everyone, we all are in fault. I don't want to blame CTVT, the member secretary. You can't just blame the member secretary, or you can't just blame the government. Okay. Number one, I don't see the will of the government to say that this is an important sector. Without the development of this sector, the country cannot, I put cannot, impossible. You cannot have economic growth in the country. So it's a question of priority. So that question of priority is also with CTVT. There are CTVT affiliated campuses. What are your question of priority? Is your question of priority is having council meeting to give affiliation? If that's a question of priority, declare that. Say that the priority of the government, and I say the government, the minister is the chairman, but you cannot escape responsibility. I can do an audit by looking at the decision of the minute. I can come up with the conclusion. These are facts, isn't it? Isn't it a fact that every meeting there are other priority issue, but the minister might say, oh, I don't know. The member secretary might say, I don't know, because I'm not a member of that council. So the priority is missing. And if you look at the industry sector priority also, this linkage would be at the lowest of their priority. They are there to make money. How quickly? Money also, how quickly? So I see this gap in priority from all the three. Again, parents are there, students are there, yeah. But then if you give quality assured training, students would come. There is no doubt about it. That has been proven throughout the world. Okay? I don't know, that's my response. Maybe some critical. Yes, please.
Thank you for your nice presentation.
नेपालीमा भेट्नुहुन्छ
सर मैले
हामी नेपाली हो, हामी अगाडि
एउटा
बोल्नुपर्छ भन्ने
टिबेट
छैन।
इकोसिस्टम जुन हाम्रो प्रेजेन्टेसनको मेजर कन्टेन्टमा टिबेट इकोसिस्टममा यो इन्टरप्रेनरसिपलाई कुन कुन क्षेत्रमा नेपालको कन्टेक्स्ट इन द कन्टेक्स्ट अफ नेपाल कुन कुन क्षेत्रमा यो इकोसिस्टम जुन इन्टरप्रेनरसिपलाई इम्बेड गर्न सकिन्छ के इक्जाम्पल सहित भनिदिनु भयो राम्रो हुन्थ्यो कि सर?
Okay, the question is, with example, can I come up and highlight how you fit in entrepreneurship in the whole TVET ecosystem? Am I correct? Is that the question? Now, he's very particular, and I like that I'm not giving you this theoretical blah, 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 where you can see in the Google and the definition of entrepreneurship. No, that's the worst thing I will do. So, now, can I speak in English? Huncha? Sure. Okay. I believe, that's my personal belief, that entrepreneurship, both at the skills level and at the higher level, will change the contour of the country. We, whether at the skill level or at the higher level, we should not be job seeker. We should create job. Now, how you can do it? That was your question. Number one is, because we are guided by our curriculum, that will set you the direction, isn't it? What to teach, how to teach, maybe some. So in our curriculum, very little emphasis is given to entrepreneurship. entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, technopreneurship. Very little, non-existent. Now we are having more. So the first reform, you have to do that in your curriculum. That will guide us. And come up with some element that will help you to take risk. It is seeking risk. Risk is the main factor for entrepreneurship. We don't take risk. We follow the path of least resistance. That is completely wrong. We have to get a government job. That's a path of least resistance. There's no resistance. Okay? So the first reform has to come now. I'll take one example from the Institute of Engineering. We competed to come up with a master's program with the Norwegian University. I was the head of that center. So we started a master's in technology and innovation management, where our focus was not to be employed with the government, but to establish their own company. We took around 20 students. That was the maximum. In the first batch, there were 10, because that's the first batch, 10 or 11. Second batch were about 16. Out of that 26 students, this is fact, it's not my imagination, around 65% became entrepreneurs. They have their own company employing hundreds of engineers. One graduate, I don't remember his but he is capturing the market of around 55% of the payment, digital payment system, Katwan University. So it is through program like that you can. It'll take time, because the government is also not, they're coming up now. So in the ecosystem, it's not just the provider, it's the facilitator, the regulator also. So that is important. So you start with it. You may fail once or twice. Like I said, Tesla. There are many companies that started with something insignificant, but later on they came up. So that's how, later on you have my email, and maybe I can share some of my views in detail. Okay, I think the time is off, and thank you very much once again.
For such an insightful session, highlighting the 60s.
Sorry, I took about...
No, it's okay, sir. And as well as the boiling frog syndrome, I think all of us will remember this story, sir. Thank you once again, sir. I request our Director General, Professor S.K. Dhameja, sir, to kindly present a token of appreciation to our keynote speaker, Professor Pramod Shrestha, sir. So we are thankful to you from the bottom of our heart for taking this session as well as the previous sessions in this FDP and international conference, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dhameja, sir. Thank you, Pramod, sir.